Welcome to this episode of the Skiff Meetings podcast. I'm your host, Miguel Neves, the editor-in-chief of Skiff Meetings. And today, as my guest on the podcast, I have Bonnie Grant, the executive director of PHL Life Sciences, a division of the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau. Also, look out for a brand new report from Skiff Meetings in partnership with PHL Life Sciences and the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau. The report is called 5 Trends for Life Sciences Conventions, Meetings, and Events, and it'll give a wide perspective of the work that PHL Life Sciences does, and much more. In this conversation, we start by talking about Bonnie's career and how she came to be the executive director of PHL Life Sciences, but also how PHL Life Sciences came to be. We also talk about how helping life science organizations such as medical associations and societies tap into a great pool of talent that is present in Philadelphia is something that Bonnie is very proud of. Bonnie shares some of her thoughts on how she would like to see more meetings connect with the destination in deeper ways, and she also recommends that planners should lean in on any destination marketing organization that they are working with. I hope you enjoy this conversation and you enjoy the Skiff Meetings podcast. If you do, then consider rating the podcast and leaving a review so more people can find out about it. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Skiff Meetings podcast. My name is Miguel Neves, the editor-in-chief of Skiff Meetings, and I am delighted to have Bonnie Grant, the executive director of PHL Life Sciences, with us today. Thank you for joining us, Bonnie.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bonnie, would love to kind of understand your journey in the industry. You've been you're the executive director of PHL Life Sciences. You've been in the industry, you've been involved for a while. I can see that from your resume. But would you tell us a little bit about your history, how you got involved? And I'd like to start with, I do this with all our guests, by when you first realized that there was a meetings industry. Like, when did you first realize that events and business events in particular were a thing?
Well, I have a history in higher education where I started my professional career as a public relations professional. I helped recruit, students to college, and I helped position for a number of educational institutions, helped position their economic impact with the city and their role in the community. And, with a journalism degree, a master's degree in journalism, I wrote for a lot of those publications. When I started realizing there was an event industry was probably during events like commencement and donor events and things like that. So I progressed from there, and I went to work under 2 mayors for the city of Philadelphia. And that office was called the Office of the City Representative. And they were responsible for special events, festivals, parades, you name it. And I was brought on as a deputy under the Mayor Rendell administration, and then stayed on under Mayor Street's administration, where I was the city representative. So I was responsible for overseeing the operational events task force, and also connecting with other hospitality organizations in the city, hospitality and tourism, to make sure that the calendars coincided, and to see what was speaking to our citizens, our visitors, and, general constituents. And of course, everyone had questions all the time, and there were multifaceted operations behind the scenes to pull off these big events, the mega events, I'll call them, something like our 10-day 4th of July celebration or holiday festival over the winter holidays. And that's how I got into this. One day when I was planning for our Super Bowl parade, which Philadelphia has a base of very passionate sports fans, and we were in the playoffs, and you have to plan for a parade like that. So we planned the parade. I met a lot of people at the Philadelphia Eagles, and we did not win the Super Bowl. But I ended up going to work for the Philadelphia Eagles for a couple of years, involved in their community initiatives, events around Eagles tackling breast cancer, the Philadelphia Eagles Youth Partnership, game day events, and things like that. And then I had a couple gigs in between, but I ended up at the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau for a very specific business development division. and that is PHL Life Sciences. So the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau certainly markets to all associations and meeting organizers to have them choose Philadelphia as a destination for their meeting. We compete fiercely with other cities for that. But my area was life sciences, and it was just kind of birthing at that point. I've been here now for 16 years, and the life sciences industry in Philadelphia was very, very strong, and we were assessing that 40 some percent of the meetings that come to Philadelphia were related to life sciences, to medical, nursing, healthcare, bio, and that's how I started in that. So my job was to market the city as a life sciences meetings destination. And again, we competed with other cities and still compete with other cities to get that very, very coveted business. So that's my journey.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
Thank you for taking us through that. Now, you've covered a number of different areas there, so happy to pick some of those things out. But one sort of fun question that I ask a lot of our guests is, how do you tell friends and family who are not in the industry? How do you explain them what you do?
And I have to do that a lot because I do that with medical professionals who might be in the OR most of the time, or they're in a lab curing cancer. But what we do is we sell Philadelphia. We sell Philadelphia as the destination for a large or small meeting or convention. And because we get those delegates, attendees, and exhibitors here, it populates our city and it feeds the economy by having the spend in our restaurants, in our, retail, in anything you can imagine. Those people are here, spending money, and there is a calculated spend to each visitor. And really, it generates a tremendous economic impact. And what that does is it keeps our people employed.
That is a great reason for doing what you do. So let's jump into PHL Life Sciences. I'm familiar with plenty of destinations that segment their destination marketing approach, right? So they have different segments, different things to do. But you've created almost a whole structure here. Like, this is a big investment in life sciences. Tell us a little bit about how this came to be.
Well, you're right. That destination marketing organizations have specific areas of focus. Sports being a very popular one. Everyone, every destination seems to have some kind of a sports authority to attract big sporting events. We have the life sciences, and we also have sports, and we also have a diversity division to enact meetings of diversity, or meetings that have issues of diversity or want to be taught about diversity. So life sciences, we realized all the assets that we have in Philadelphia and how we could position Philadelphia to the advantage. And we are a city of history in Philadelphia, but we're also a city of medical history. And we realize we have many medical firsts. We have the first hospital, the first children's hospital, the first medical school, the first College of Pharmacy and Science, the first medical association, and that list goes on. So we thought this is a very educational address as a destination. And a lot of these venues here are themed after those historical milestones. But we love to say we are still making history with our 7 medical schools, our research institutions, our research therapies and development. That is happening in Philadelphia. Not so long ago, in 2018, I believe, we were kind of nicknamed Silicon Valley for the progress in gene and cell therapy. So we have a lot of innovators here, and that makes for a great pool of talent. And when a convention comes here, they can not only draw on the talent from the universities and the medical schools, the specialties, the disciplines that they are discussing at their meetings, but they can draw from a deep pool of that talent for exhibitors and students and fellows. They can come to the exhibit floor and see what's happening here and really create partnerships and long-term business opportunities.
And so, are you focused only on the selling side, or do you also then help connect the dots and kind of make all these things happen?
The selling side is we do have a sales team. They're divided up into territories wherever associations are located. As you can imagine, many associations are located in our country's capital in Washington, D.C., but we have associations headquartered on the West Coast, in the Southeast, in the Southwest, in the North. And I work with those sales team members to help mine the associations that are out there, the opportunities that are out there, and try to meet with those customers to make them aware. The larger meetings are planned many years out. As you can imagine, they have to put a footprint hold on hotel rooms and the convention center space and meeting rooms. So we are booking well into the 2030s already, you know, and that's why that sales process is important. We want to make them aware that this division is here to help them however they can. And then when that convention is booked, it's usually 18 months to 2 years out that they'll start doing the site visits to make sure all the components are in place for their meeting that would be coming up, how they market the message to the attendee and to the exhibitor, how they want to spread the word, maybe for opportunities for example, a day pass for a student or, speaker opportunities, things like that. And we also have a great media team, marketing and communications team, and we're the fourth largest media market in the country. So we will, encourage them, whatever they're discussing at those meetings can be life-changing and they affect people on the ground. So we will help them navigate the media landscape for opportunities for, public relations, media placement, and that kind of thing. And those opportunities vary because you might have a convention that has a very large operation with press conferences scheduled every hour, or you might have, just a small booth with a couple of media representatives. But we will take whatever we have with the association and try to enhance that for them so that they have success and a very memorable meeting.
Makes sense. So, in your experience in dealing with life sciences associations and people in that field, are there particularly areas that are sort of different when you deal with them? And I'm thinking you'll probably have very professional associations that have very, professional executive directors and people that know everything, but also you might have some associations that are just, practitioners and life science people that need kind of a different kind of help. What is it that makes life sciences unique in how you deal with them?
Well, there's a couple things. With some of the larger associations and even smaller associations, you're right. There are meeting professionals affiliated with that association. Their job is to put on meetings, and they might have anything from a board meeting to an advisors meeting to a product launch meeting to a general membership meeting, and that's their job. And medical meetings especially have some compliance issues and guidance that they have to follow. So we try to make sure that our staff and our hotel partners are conversant in that. We want to make sure that they're articulate in the issues. So we, about 10 years or a little over 10 years ago, we became the founding sponsor of Meeting Professional International's Healthcare Certificate Meeting Compliance Program. So that is an actual certificate that they earn by learning all the terms, all the challenges. For example, there may be food and beverage caps for medical professionals. There are reporting issues for doctors. There are destination issues that they may vary in price. So New York's going to be a very different price than, say, San Antonio. And they're the kinds of things that we encourage our partners to learn about. The second part of the question, I think, was what else could you repeat that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious about how you help them, right? Because I'm thinking it's not the same as any other part of the sales organization, right?
So some associations are strictly run by volunteers. We've had nursing associations or science associations that are run by teachers or nursing practitioners, and they don't really know the meeting. They might have an administrative assistant working on it with them. So we try to make that easy too. We help them navigate what might be the hotel package. We help them research what the RFP might have been in another city. So we're there to guide every step of the way. So you have very experienced people to people maybe with just a smaller set of resources.
Yeah, it's always a wide range, right? So I want to kind of zoom out with you a little bit and talk about the industry at large and talk about a little bit what you love about the industry. And also what would you like to see change? Because I'm sure that there are some things that you'd like that they ran a little bit different or that they were a little bit different.
Well, there's two industries that we're talking about. So there's the hospitality industry, and then there's the life sciences industry, which I've come to know and love a little bit. And I'm here to connect those industries. So first, I'll talk about life sciences because it's so very important to what I do. For example, during the pandemic, that industry did not stop. They were, you know, depended on. They were the people that we looked to. Nobody knew what they were going through, especially as the hospitality industry shut down. We already had advisors in place. So let me just say that the way that my division works is I engage industry professionals as close to the leadership position as I can get. So you might have medical school deans, you might have the presidents of the tri-state bio organizations, or senior level people in some biotech organizations, nursing leaders, chief nursing officers, academic nursing deans in higher education. So we engage them, and we don't keep the lift heavy. What we do is with our life sciences advisors, we gather 3 times a year so that we can tell them what's coming, what's going, what the opportunities are, what we might need help with in the way of like large meetings and small. We report out on the smaller meetings too. And and with the nurses, it's such a busy group. We only meet twice a year with them. And yet I can call on these individuals and these leaders whenever I need, whether it's a letter of support or if I need to know who the star is in a certain discipline or industry, I can call and consult with them. And that's all about recruiting and nurturing those relationships, which are very important. So that industry never shut down during the pandemic, but we had these professionals in place. What were we going to do? We took the best experienced in vaccine development, in public health, in advocacy, and we engaged them in a smaller group to advise our meeting customers. We had a chief health advisor that we engaged. His name was Dr. David Nash. He was the founding dean of the School of Population Health at Jefferson University, one of our top medical schools. And he was on call to talk to our customers, talk us all through the onset of the pandemic, the consequences of the pandemic, what was happening out in the world, the development of the vaccine, the delivery of the vaccine, and then the safe return to travel. So we use them that way. It was such a value to our customers. And as a result of that, in industry publications, we got a lot of attention that we were doing that. I think we are the only division of a destination marketing organization that has an official role in life sciences, that has an official staff assigned to it. And more destinations are getting involved with their medical partners, as they should, because they do produce valuable connections. But we've been doing it for a very long time. So I've been here for 16 years. Prior to that, there was something called the Philadelphia Healthcare Congress that was part of the Convention Visitors Bureau, and it was really only a small group of doctors that focused on citywide medical conventions. When the big bio convention came here in 2005, with 18,000 attendees and such a $60 million economic impact, the tri-state, and we are a tri-state region here, Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, the tri-state region life sciences leaders came together and realized that we are a vibrant life sciences hub. And these meetings offer a way to show that off to the world. So they got together, and many of those original steering committee members stayed on to form PHL Life Sciences.
Fascinating. So that was the turning point, or when you got serious about it, right?
It was, yeah.
And the comment about anything you'd like to see changed, is there anything from either industry
Yes,
that
I
you
just
think?
talked about this recently. I would love to see as these meetings and conventions come to a destination, I would love more opportunities for the attendees and the delegates and the leadership of the various components of that convention or association to really delve into the destination's assets in whatever their discipline is. And I would love to see a half a day, a full day session dedicated just to that so that they can really get to know the destination and what they have to offer in what they do.
And are you seeing that as kind of like a field trip opportunity where you go and
Be a
into it?
field trip. I've arranged for medical tours. We have the first surgical amphitheater here, which is fascinating to see, with the natural light, the dome, and the history behind it, and how women would come into that surgical amphitheater and be heckled out by male physicians who thought that the women's place was in the home. But it could be a tour. They could go out to the University of Pennsylvania proton therapy. They could go to something like the Barnes Foundation. The Barnes Foundation is an amazing collection of medical art, and not medical art, I'm sorry, amazing collection of art, post Impressionism, Impressionism, and modern art that was collected by Dr. Albert Barnes, who was a Philadelphia guy, grew up in a poor neighborhood, went to Central High School, one of our magnet public schools, and this is in the late 1800s, and graduated by the age of 21 from Penn Medical School. And at the turn of the century, I believe it was around 1904, he and a German chemist developed a drug called Argerol that went into the eyes of every newborn baby to prevent venereal disease. And that's how he, earned his money, his fortune. But he was friends in high school with a painter known as William Glackens, who was an impressionist painter, and he gave William Glackens the first $20,000 to go over to Europe and buy the first round of collection of art. And he bought it back, and then Dr. Barnes became very involved in it himself. He collected the art, he hung it here, and he also had his drug manufacturing facilities here, and he would teach his staff, his employees, about art. And that collection started to become known, around the world. It was out in Lower Merion, which is about 5 miles outside of Philadelphia. And unfortunately, Dr. Barnes died in the 1950s in a car accident. I'm telling this story to illustrate that it's a beautiful medical story behind the art. They moved the museum and hung it exactly how he had it presented out in Lower Merion, and now it's a major museum on our parkway. They do classes, they have special event venues, so a lot more people are able to experience that collection, and it rivals the Louvre as far as impressionism art.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah, it's a great story. But so we offer all these things like the Franklin Institute Science Museum, the Mutter Museum, which is a museum of medical oddities. There are also special event venues that can really enhance, and in conjunction with event at a meeting or a convention.
Yeah. So looking to the future, I mean, you've mentioned a few things that you'd like to see change. So I think that's quite interesting. Kind of following on from that, how do you see events, conferences, meetings, that kind of thing changing? And I'm putting a date here of 2030 as sort of an end date. So 6 years time. Do you see them changing? And in what way do you see them changing?
It's all playing out right now. Certainly, the pandemic taught us about virtual meetings. So some doctors learned that they don't have to be out of the office as long if they have that virtual component. A lot of technology, a lot of apps that are out there, but I don't see face-to-face meetings going away. I don't. There are opportunities to network, to travel, to experience cities, and to experience your colleagues in person. So even by 2030, hopefully there will be a very streamlined process for RFPs and getting a destination selected. And I do see by 2030 that Philadelphia will be on the map as one of the premier medical meeting destinations for attendees, delegates, exhibitors, and certainly leadership and associations.
Okay, so that would be the goal for PHL Life Sciences?
Yeah, that I'm constantly building up to that every day. So I'm involved in a lot of professional organization for meeting planners, educating them about what we do and how we do it, and how we have this very specific division that is dedicated to medical, life sciences, nursing. And I'm told there are 500 new medical meetings emerging every year because of, it takes so much time, say, for a drug to get to market. It might take 10 to 15 years between all the clinical trials and the investment. But Philadelphia is a location where investment is happening. I just went to an advocacy day for our state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I was with life sciences professionals. And we broke up into groups to talk to legislators to hear some of the things that these organizations or, at the innovation centers, what they're working on, whether it's, a delivery of a cell and gene therapy to go through a catheter in the back all the way up to the brain to treat Parkinson's disease. I mean, that's something far into the future, and that they're at the beginning of their journey, to all of the advocacy that goes on for research and development taxes and that kind of thing. And then I tell my story as we go around the room. They say, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're curing this, we're working on this. And I said, and I book room nights.
Mhm.
I book room nights for these amazing meetings that happen where they discuss these things and do discovery. And it's just, it's a great position to be in, because I do hear a lot of innovation, and I believe they have a cure for everything at this point, at least in mice.
Absolutely. So you talked a bit about the future already. Just wondering if there's any trends that you're seeing ahead that you're excited about.
I'm excited about the number of meetings that are happening, and the awareness that a destination like Philadelphia is attaining by not only the great things that are happening in the city and the medical community, but how that's translating into a resource for meeting planners. So I'm very excited about that. That grows every year. If I go out on sales calls with my team, if if I'm in the trenches with the destination services team as they're delivering, transportation, housing, and everything like that, I get opportunities to meet the clients all the time. And then at our meetings, and this is a trend that we started a few years ago, at our actual meetings of our advisory boards, we invite the leadership of upcoming conventions in so that they can talk leader to leader about the opportunities in Philadelphia, about what their mission is and how they can help each other. So I would like to see that grow and grow.
I love it. And what about challenges? Are there things that keep you up at night, things that you're concerned about that you'd like to address in some way?
Because we might have all the components in place for the content and the connections, and then there may be a challenge with, say, meeting space or getting from point A to point B, or there's another competing event, and we have to work around those kinds of challenges. They're on the logistics side. They're real, and we want to be able to accommodate physicians and science professionals as to how they learn. So we want to offer them the best scenario possible. So we're always working through those kinds of those kinds of issues.
Yep, always worth addressing.
Yeah.
Bonnie, it's been really interesting learning about your work, and it's fascinating that you've been working on this for a while, and how it's come together and how it's developing. Is there anything else that you want to add in terms of what PHL Life Sciences can do, and what it's hoping to do in the near future?
Just want to make sure that we have everything in place to connect all these resources to the scientific minds that come to Philadelphia, so that they have a very, memorable experience. And of course, if they have a memorable experience, the hope is that they will come back. But, this talent that emerges from Philadelphia that can benefit their meeting, it's not to be denied. And there are unique partnerships. I think all meeting planners should lean in on their destination because these unique partnerships offer really an ease for them. We try to make their life easier, and every destination can do it. Our services are free of charge. We are here to help the economy. We are here to, create and maintain jobs in hospitality. And this is what I tell my potential advisory board members because there are so many meetings and innovation in that area of life science related meetings. It creates more meetings, it creates more opportunities for hospitality employment. They love it. They love promoting their destination. They love showing off their destination, and they usually help us in any way they can.
Love it. That's a perfect place to end. Bonnie, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure chatting to you and learning about your role.
Thank you, Miguel. And I'm really looking forward to the report.